What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Out of the Basement, and happy almost Halloween. So, of course, I'm Nate. I'm joined with Justin.
What's up, guys?
And Steven.
Howdy.
And today we are talking about our favorite movies to watch on Halloween.
I would say, if I could describe this video, and when we're describing the movies, I would say, for me, these are the movies that we put on more of like to create a mood or ambiance while it's Halloween. More of like background movies that play in the house just throughout the day. Like, you're kind of half paying attention to them, maybe 50-50, because you're in between. Maybe you're at a Halloween party. Maybe you're having friends over, socializing. Maybe you're giving out candy to trick-or-treaters and you just kind of have stuff on in the background. So that was kind of like my idea for this video.
Except for there's one movie on here that I specifically make sure I pay 100% attention to. And it's pretty obvious. But, Steve, I'll start with you. What was your pick? What was your first pick on our list? It's a movie that you and I really enjoy. Justin hasn't seen it. Yeah. Unfortunately, somehow, I don't know how you have not.
I probably have at some point in my life. I just need to see it again and be reminded.
Most likely. So, what is that movie?
The movie is Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yes.
Now, we've mentioned this movie on the channel before, probably a dozen times. It's just one of those movies that, if you're a long-time viewer, you know, we bring it up at least once a month.
Yep. It's just a great holiday kids horror movie.
Yeah, it certainly isn't like a high-budget movie either. So, and they use all practical effects, which...
Yeah, the little creatures in the movie, they used to scare the shit out of me when I was younger.
Yeah, especially the main one, Trintor. But yeah, it's a movie that I grew up with, and I've probably seen it about 5 million times, but not anytime recently.
Yeah.
Because when I was a child, it didn't matter what time of the year it was. I would just watch it, you know, and run the VHS tape, you know, until it didn't work anymore. Along with all of the other Ernest movies I was a big fan of. But I feel like this movie gets overlooked for the simple fact that it is an Ernest movie.
True.
And for some people, I think that's just a big turnoff. Like, oh, this is just kiddie garbage. Which, in all intents and purposes, it definitely is a kid's movie. But it's still fun. I think it still deserves love.
It's got a little something to it. It's just like there's like a little spark there.
Yeah, well, I think that spark is Jim Varney as Ernest.
Of course.
Because if you had a childhood that didn't involve Ernest in any way, I feel bad for you, son. But
you've got 99 problems, but Ernest isn't one.
Ernest ain't one, because he never let me down. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. If you have kids, it's a great kids movie for them to watch, and fun for the whole family.
I would agree.
Because it is scary, you know, for the kids, but it's also funny for the adults too. It's pretty wacky.
Didn't you buy that on Blu-ray recently?
Yes.
Yeah, we should definitely revisit that soon.
Absolutely.
Justin, what is a movie that you picked on the list?
Well, when it comes to Halloween, I think we would all agree, possibly, that it's just more of a slasher mood holiday. You know, the Jason, the Michael, the Fredward.
The Fredward.
The Chuck. The Ghostface. I think that's just more of a theme of Halloween is...
It's almost like Halloween and scary things. It just...
Well, no. What I meant by that is that it's not much of like... I don't get as much of like a paranormal, like The Conjuring or Insidious type movies. I don't really get in the mood to watch those during Halloween.
Yeah,
during Halloween, it's just much more of a slasher oriented, if that makes sense.
Well, and I feel like slashers in general are pretty easy to digest. They're pretty easy to like walk away from and then come back to, and you feel like, you know, you haven't really lost much.
Yeah.
Like, it's obviously great to pay attention to these movies and make obscure references to certain scenes, but, you know, like, you throw on just a random slasher movie that you've seen a billion times, it's like, you know, you can just go back and forth and you're like, oh, it's this scene, like, I'll watch this little part and then go back to doing whatever you're doing.
And to further your point, I think the thing with paranormal movies, like, you know, Paranormal Activities, Conjurings, what have you, a lot of them aren't like this that don't have a Halloween setting.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like all those movies are based in October, and you don't see, you know, the decorations.
Yeah.
But, you know, of course with the Halloween movies, duh.
Yeah.
It's always Halloween.
But my next pick here does not take place during Halloween. It takes place during summer camp. Friday the 13th. I'd be fine with any of them, and I play almost all of them throughout the day on Halloween, just because we're all big Friday fans here.
Yeah.
But specifically, I would choose Part 6. I'll say Part 6 for the list, but I'd be fine with Part 4 as well, as you mentioned earlier. I think one of the biggest reasons why I love Friday the 13th so much is that not only because of the charm and the cheese, but it's just that perfect, not a cliche, but like everyone always says, like, oh, teenagers go out to the woods and get killed by a killer in a mask. That's been like a cliche forever, and I feel like these movies are just the perfect embodiment of it. Because all the other slashers are just not the same setting. And while these movies are like incredibly simple, it's just that perfect example of just what we're all afraid of, is going out in the deep woods and getting killed by like a maniac in a mask.
Yeah, and Part 6, you know, it's got a lot more humor than the rest of them. You've got Tom Matthews, Tommy Jarvis, which is the best Tommy Jarvis. Jason's design is really like, it's not the classic design, but it's a little bit different, but it's still just like, it's very iconic. Like, to me, Part 6's look is very like special. And
to further your point again, why Friday the 13th is the slasher is because it ticks off all the boxes. You got the horny teenagers, you're on a summer camp, and another thing that sets us apart from like Halloween and stuff is that, you know, out in the boondocks, you know, in Crystal Lake, there's like the first responders can't get to you quickly. You're basically sitting ducks. Whereas Halloween, there's plenty of help around, but even they can't help you, which is scary in itself. But it's because it still is and it ticks off the cabin in the woods thing too, because it's very similar to something like the Evil Dead, where you're just out on your own, basically. It ticks off every box perfectly. Yeah,
and Friday the 13th doesn't scare me at all.
No.
It scared me to death as a child, because as a child I saw parts 2, 3, 6, 7, and 9, oddly, with 9. But it scared me a lot as a child, but as an adult, I could fall asleep to Friday the 13th. Like, I could put that in as like a bedtime movie, but I could not put in Halloween as a bedtime movie.
You don't think so?
No. Just not with the music and everything, I just couldn't. But anyway, Friday the 13th, Part 6. Golden gem right there. Nate, what would you pick for this list?
This movie is something I never shut up about. I always bring it up as much as I possibly can, because even though it's definitely gained a lot more popularity within recent years, I still just feel like not enough people know about it. And that's Trick or Treat, the 2007 movie, not the Gene Simmons, Ozzy Osbourne movie, Trick or Treat.
Damn it.
But
I was hoping it was
just
that
a
one.
great horror pseudo-anthology movie in a way, although all of the storylines end up tying together in almost like a Quentin Tarantino way, I guess would be a decent way to describe it. But obviously it takes place on Halloween. It's about respecting the traditions of Halloween, and Sam is an awesome character. Tons of really goofy craziness in the movie. There's also some decent gore as well. And you get everything. You don't just get like a slasher. You get like a slasher, some monsters, some zombies. You get a nice spectrum. You get a nice smorgasbord of Halloween goodness. And I love it. Yeah. It's not particularly scary. I definitely think if I was like a kid and I saw this movie, I'd love it even more. Because it's just one of those movies that teeters. It's like, yeah, it's rated R. Yeah, there's bad language. Yeah, there's violence. But there's just something about it that just like awakens the kid like Halloween spirit when I watch this movie inside myself. Bucky, have you seen Trick or Treat?
No.
Wow.
I actually have not.
Yeah, we watched it. I believe we watched it last Halloween.
Yes, we did.
And yeah, I had a great time with that one as well. Definitely added that to my list.
Yeah.
Even went out and bought it on Blu-ray.
Yep. And it...
But not the Scream.
But we could get really meta right now. Because it's not out. The Scream Factory's not out yet. But by the time this video's live, the Scream Factory will be out. Meta! But yeah, Trick or Treat is one of my all-time favorite horror movies. It's definitely a movie I try to watch on Halloween every single year. So Steven, your next Halloween pick, which again is another movie that you and I love to death.
Mm-hmm. That you showed me.
Yes.
When we first started hanging out.
Wow.
Because it is the ultimate Halloween horror comedy, stoner comedy.
Yeah, and severely underrated.
Yeah.
I feel like no one on Earth
absolutely
likes
no
this
one
movie.
talks about it.
And that, of course, is Idle Hands.
Yes. Such a great movie.
Yeah, it really is. Devon Sawa's greatest work.
Yep.
His best piece.
You thought Final Destination was good. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie was really weird. I remember seeing it like on TV when I was really young. And I would always see, before that, I would always see a commercial for it because there's a part in the movie where Seth Green is in the movie and he picks up a meat carver and he's like, "Look at me, I'm Leatherface," and he runs, but then it unplugs from the wall so it stops. And I remember always seeing a trailer, and that part was in the trailer, and I was always like, that is so funny, like when I was younger. So then I ended up watching the movie on TV for the first time, and of course, this movie's rated R. Mm-hmm. It's violent, there's nudity, so it was definitely a watered-down version. And then eventually I tracked down the DVD and saw it in all of its glory, and I was like, this movie is awesome.
Yeah, it really... of course, it's a stoner comedy,
Yeah.
but they pay so much close detail to the horror aspects of it.
Yeah. I mean, the movie's basically about a guy his hand gets possessed and he cuts it off, but then the hand lives on, maybe starts causing a ruckus throughout the town, but there's just a lot of great moments in it. You've got like your generic tough guy where he's always listening to shout at the devil. You've got the crazy lady who already knows about the hand, who wants to destroy it. And one of the best parts of the movie is the offspring at the end of the movie, and they play some Ramones covers, and it's just awesome because the end of the movie is like at a high school dance, and there's just crazy stuff going on. And again, the movie is randomly gory.
Yeah,
I don't want to give too much away from it.
It pays. Of course, it is a stoner comedy, but it pays a lot of attention and detail into the horror elements of the movie. So it definitely feels like a true horror film. But of course, there's just wacky stuff happening, and it kind of like an Evil Dead 2 or an Army of Darkness. It's clearly a horror movie, but it's also wacky and kind of funny at the same time.
Guys, I think I have seen this movie before.
You probably have.
Now that you're describing it, because just as a young teenager, I used to watch horror movies on TV just all the time, but that was before, Guide was a thing. That's before you could press Guide and see, like, the name of the movie that you're watching.
You had to flip to channel 99 and watch the listings.
Oh, God.
Oh.
The suffering.
Yeah,
Something kiddos don't know about.
I discovered later in life, now that with all these, like, movies coming out on Blu-ray and Scream Factory and all that other stuff, like, we kind of, like, Dog Soldiers was one where I was like, I've actually seen this movie before. So I do think I have seen this movie on TV.
Jessica Alba's in it.
Yeah. One of her earliest performances.
Yep.
So just throwing that in there.
Yeah. It's a great movie. It's totally a lot of fun. Again, it's one of those movies where you just sit back and relax and have a really good time.
Yeah, I feel like you're either going to love it or absolutely hate it. I feel like there is no in-between with this movie.
True. Very true.
So be cautioned, but if you want a good time and a good scare, Idle Hands.
Idle Hands. So, Justin, what is your next pick for our favorite movies to watch on Halloween?
Well, now we're kind of getting to the incredibly obvious ones.
Yeah, definitely. No surprises.
But, like,
for the
you
next...
couldn't leave them out of a list like this.
Yeah.
At the same time. And that'd, of course, be Scream
Great movie. Some people hate it. I don't know why.
Yeah, everything about it.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of my favorite scenes in this movie is when Wes Craven is just using the scene from Halloween.
Yeah.
That's playing like in the TV living room, but you could hear the soundtrack from that playing with like other scenes in the actual, the Scream, the film.
Yeah.
And just the way that whole scene worked out, and obviously how meta it is, has always been the introduction, the opening sequence, terrified me as a child.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What is there not to love about Scream?
Yeah.
That little Freddy cameo?
Yeah. Yeah, I would agree. I can understand some people not liking the meta humor, but to me, it is like the perfect meta horror movie. Obviously, not the first, not the last,
Yeah.
but probably the best in terms of execution.
Yeah.
All of the references. Jamie Kennedy's character is like the guy. He knows all the rules of the horror movies.
Turn around.
Yeah, turn around. And Neve Campbell in the movie, she's awesome. Sidney Prescott as like a final girl is really cool. There's really David Arquette.
Twists.
Yeah, the twists. It's Matthew Lillard again, our boy.
Kills it. He's one of the most underrated actors, period.
I could definitely get
he
behind
has
that.
so much acting talent, and he hasn't been able to like flex that properly, I think, in a lot of the movie choices he's made. He's had a great career, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But he's really flexes those muscles in something like where he's the lead in SLC Punk, or his character in the new Twin Peaks. He absolutely kills it. Love me some Lillard.
Hey, he's a great Shaggy too.
Oh yeah, the best, the only Shaggy.
Honestly.
Yeah, what an amazing twist.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
and the movie's bloody, even though it's a bunch of like knife and shooting kills for the most part.
Yeah.
I still feel like the violence is there.
Yeah.
So Scream is just a fantastic movie.
Mm-hmm.
Totally fun.
It's crazy to me that the guy who brought us Swamp Thing
also
brought us this amazing film called Scream, because I'm not like a huge Wes Craven fan. Like there's, of course, I really like The Hills Have Eyes, and Scream, of course. Obviously he's got some good movies out there, but he has some serious misses too, as everybody does. But man, Scream has got to be his best movie, period, or up there.
It's definitely up there. Obviously you got Nightmare.
Yeah.
You got Nightmare 1, you got Nightmare, or New Nightmare as well. Those are really great movies. But yeah, I feel like Wes Craven was one of the very few horror directors that he kept going and he kept making good stuff. Like, he made bad stuff too, but like, it's not like someone like Dario Argento where it was like,
Yeah. He made good stuff later in his career,
right,
which a lot of, the name brand directors, creators, your Carpenters, your Argentos, kind of slouched in the latter half.
Definitely.
But Wes,
he kept
pumped
it
out
real.
some hits.
Agreed. So our final movie, if it's not completely obvious, we all watch this movie. We all love this movie. It's an actual classic film. It's preserved in the National Film Archive. And of course, that's Halloween 1978. The absolute classic.
The pinnacle.
Yeah.
A movie that to this day is still scary. It's
has great cinematography,
it's
great direction.
It's something that anyone that lives in a neighborhood can relate to.
Yeah.
Just walking down the street.
That's a lot of people.
And that's a lot of people. Walking down the street, seeing something out in the distance, you're kind of like, what is that? Stepping away. I feel like it's a very like, I don't want to say like realistic, but in a way you feel like this could happen. Like, there could just be some random guy stalking around on Halloween.
Well, it plays obviously to the boogeyman element that's, you know, I think ingrained in everyone, where it's like, oh, you're in a dark room or you're in a dark house. It's like, for whatever reason, your mind is always like, all right, somebody's here to get me.
Yep.
Or like, you know,
It's like
don't
your
look under the
survival
bed.
instincts.
Yeah, from when you're a kid, oh, don't look under the bed, don't go in your closet. Then when you're adult, you're outside, you're walking down the street, it's dark out. Like, I don't know, you just get that heightened feeling, and this just plays to it and makes you even more paranoid.
Yeah. And plus, how it's always been, like we mentioned earlier, the cliche of like kids go camping. And I'm not referring to Friday the 13th because that came after Halloween, but just the cliche that was always there of crazed killer kills teens that go camping, or like you're out in the boonies. You know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, they were out in the boonies. Other movies like that, like, you know what I
Kills
mean.
have
Yeah.
And
even
this,
though that's not like a slasher, but
yeah, this movie brought it to like a neighborhood that anyone can live in, like suburbia.
safe suburbia.
Yeah.
Right. And just the police, no one can get a hold of him. He's just moving around through these houses pretty much at free will.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, and the way just Michael's plain white mask, no emotions, the dark eyes, you just see nothing. There's just nothing there.
Yeah.
And it's a humanoid face. So it's like not quite the same as like a hockey mask.
Yeah.
There's something a little bit more like personal about it. Cuz you're like, this dude is just like, seems to just be like a normal person wearing a Halloween costume.
Yeah.
I remember as a kid at the local library, I would always pick up the H20, H2O DVD, and I'd flip it over to the back, and on the promotional image on the back, it's when Lori and Michael are looking at each other, and I would always think like, damn, like that's scary.
Yeah.
Like I never watched it as a kid. Like I didn't hold Michael Myers in like this high regard, like, oh, don't even mention his name.
Yeah.
Like Chucky. But I was just terrified of Chucky. But like I would always just to scare myself for some reason, I'd always pick it up in the library and be like, ooh. Like I just couldn't get that image out of my mind. I'm like, oh man, that's
I think as a child, Michael was that guy that absolutely terrified me. As a child, I had actually seen every single Halloween minus the remakes.
Because you weren't a kid.
Yeah. So I just remember marathoning, like every year around Halloween, AMC would have the Halloween marathon where they play every single one, like even Resurrection.
Yeah.
I just remember enjoying all of the movies, and that has taken a drastic turn as I've turned older. But I'm still, around Halloween time, I'm still satisfied watching almost any Halloween, especially 2. Pretty good sequel, and then 6 is pretty good as well.
Producer's cut.
Yeah.
I think I've seen 2 more than any other Halloween. I just, and that's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I definitely can see where you're coming from, because I definitely feel like AMC, they play 2. Probably more than any Halloween movie.
And the thing is, it's like 1 is so good, I don't ever want to get sick of it.
Yeah.
So I kind of just like put it on the back burner for a long time and only watch it once in a blue moon.
Oh, I could watch 78 all day long.
I mean, I could too, but like I said, I don't want to, I don't know. I want it to be an experience every time I sit down to actually pay attention and watch it. I don't want to, I guess I kind of want to forget some things sometimes.
Yeah.
Because if you watch a movie too much, beat by beat by beat, you can recite the line. It just gets repetitive. So with something like that, I just want to, sort of like the original trilogy Star Wars movies. Like, of course I could watch them any day of the week, but like they're special.
Yeah.
So I want to hold them in a high regard, where it's like Red Lobster.
Okay. You don't want to go to Red Lobster too much.
Yeah.
But yeah, Halloween 1, it's a classic. Of course, you expected it to be on this list, because you'd be crazy not to watch Halloween on Halloween. I feel like that's pretty fair. So let us know what some of your favorite movies to watch on Halloween in the comments down below.
The Thing?
The Thing?
Dawn of the Dead?
Hey, those are great picks. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like on it. Subscribe if you're new. Ring that bell so you get the notifications when we are uploading. Of course, I'm Nate. I'm joined with Justin
See you guys later.
and Steven.
See ya.
Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you next time on Out of the Basement. Spooky Halloween.
Cringy.